Welcome back to another episode of Born Again Bowhunting Podcast. On this week's episode, we got Nick, and he is from the Rise Hunt Gang. So he's thank you for joining us tonight, and we're going to talk a little bit of early season hunting and their recent trip to
North Dakota.
North Dakota. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
South, north. What's the difference? It's somewhere up there, right?
Yeah.
So how's it going
Pretty
tonight?
much about the same. Good. I mean, we're one day closer to deer season, so I mean, summer's flying by.
Yeah.
It seems like it's like next thing you know, we're doing food plots here in a couple of weeks, and then we're gonna be hunting shortly right after that.
Yeah. I thought about that the other day. So I've got a Kentucky tag this year, and so season opens up early September, and I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, in no time whatsoever, we will be hunting.
You're going to be hanging in.
I mean, seriously, like it's a month and a half, 2 months away, whatever it is. But tomorrow you're gonna blink your eye, and then you're gonna be at a deer stand, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
I don't know about you guys, but it seems like this summer is just like jam packed with everything, even with like other people, weddings and all that stuff. So it's like it's just making the summer go by even quicker, and I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah. I think. Go ahead, Kev.
It's just one thing after another, and man, it's just flying by.
And I think work is like really busy for a lot of people too. I'm not sure why. Yeah. It just feels like this work is just it's kicking our butts. But let's get into the deer talk. Nick, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell the people who you are, where you're from, what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I'm Nick Coheley, obviously part of the Rise Hunt. We travel around doing filming our hunts, and basically our bread and butter with the Rise is our segment series, which we do in the fall. Basically what we do is we film 100 days throughout the season, and we're producing a segment every bi-weekly. So that's kind of our bread and butter, and we put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's slowly growing, and we're just gonna keep grinding through and keep pushing every season and try to get better and better.
Yeah.
So you said that you guys hunt 100 days in the fall. What does that look like? Like what? Obviously, 100 days is 100 days, but what I'm getting at is like, what do you guys do for work, or like how? Obviously, there's sacrifice involved to make that happen. What do you guys do there?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a give or take. With 100, Tyler is pretty flexible with his schedule, and for me, basically, I can with my farm here in Michigan, for the most part, I can pretty much get out and hunt whenever I want. And then also too, my work's pretty flexible, and if I, making trips out of state and stuff like that, it's just kind of one of those deals that, you can go, but, just got to be reasonable with it. So.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
Well, we got a couple icebreaker questions we'll hit you, and then we'll get into the early season stuff, what you're prepping for, and go from there.
Yep.
So the first question is, during hunting season, what's your go-to drink at the gas station? You're stopping there. What are you grabbing? A energy drink, a coffee, a water, a pop?
Oh, it's an orange Mountain Dew Kickstart. That's my go-to in the morning.
That's a new one. That's a new one. Normally we hear Monster, Reign, or Red Bull, or
kind of energy drink, really.
Yeah.
Any other flavors of Mountain Dew, or just that Kickstart?
Just the Kickstart for the most part, and other than that, mainly stick to the water diet, and maybe a couple adult beverages in the evening, but that's about it.
After a successful hunt, right?
Yeah.
Question number 2 is, what's your current bow setup look like? What kind of bow you shoot? You can go into a little bit of specs.
All right. I'm shooting a Hoyt RX-7. So run the B3 sight on there, and then 28-inch draw, 65-pound limbs on it. Using the QED integrated rest, running a 6-inch out front on it. So it's pretty good, as far as good whitetail setup, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
And you guys, I've watched a few of your videos. You guys run the Helix broadhead, is that correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So what do you guys think of that? The cut on contact?
It performed flawlessly for us. I mean, I was before I was a kind of expandable guy before our partnership with them. So it was kind of like pulling teeth for me, but and once I started shooting them, I was practicing with them all last summer before season come around. And it was, when I started matching them broadhead and field points up out there at those longer ranges, is pretty much a sold at that point. And no, they did great for all of us. I mean, I think we ended up killing like seven bucks last season with them. So
that's awesome. Yeah, we shoot the kudu point. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. It looks very, very similar to the helix. They're out of Oregon, and I'm glad that you brought up the point of accuracy, because most guys always are afraid to go to like a single bevel cut on contact style head.
Yeah.
And they're always like, well, I'm going to lose accuracy. Well, our experience is the same thing. We feel that them kudus are just as accurate as our field points. Now, granted, you have to have a tuned bow, but
Correct.
as long as your bow is tuned properly, I mean, they'll hit side by side. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I had to do a little bit of tweaking with the tuning, to get them to match up. But once I got them to match up, it didn't matter what distance it was.
Yeah. I know we find the same thing.
Yep. And then the final question is, what is your favorite trail camera, and approximately how many have you been running in the past year?
So I've been kind of going to the attached cam reveals. As far as the price point, they're a good camera, good enough to where you're getting those pictures. You still can get some good quality pictures out of them. But you're not paying too much for the camera itself, and been running those for a few years now. Last year, I think I was running about 9 of them last year, and then I picked up another 8 or 9 for this year. So, yeah.
Are you running monthly? Go ahead.
So that monthly bill hurts during deer season.
Yeah, trust me, I know. Are you running any normal SD cameras, or are you just going with all cells?
I pretty much run all cells, and about 3 or 4 years ago, I switched out of it because that's kind of one of my things. Is just less pressure is better, and I just want to stay out. I pretty much only go into my farm maybe 3 times between turkey season and deer season, and that's it. So
gotcha. That makes sense.
Once you get started on the cell cam game too, it's hard to just have.
Dude, it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah, every time that phone's dinging this time of year, I'm like, all right, who is it? Where is it? What is it? Yeah. You're so anxious, hoping that buck, that from last year's gonna show up on there.
And what's he looking like this year?
Yeah.
I know, it's a rabbit hole.
It is.
You said, I think we were talking a little bit on or off air before the podcast. You're from Michigan, right?
Yes, correct.
What part of Michigan exactly?
I'm about 30 minutes away from Lansing.
Okay.
So kind of, that south central, you could say.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So what would so the stereotypical Michigan buck is, 120 inches. What are you in an area that's stereotypical, like that's a good deer, or are you in an area where your average or your mature deer is a little bit bigger than that?
I'd say as far as like the mature deer, it's good. It's better than that. I mean, honestly, a lot of Michigan is, like you're saying, a lot of like your teens to 20s would be like your solid, good caliber deer for the most part. But then once you start getting to a little bit southern area, a little bit more farm country, and I feel like you can get into a little bit better ones. I mean, I'm pretty fortunate with my farm that I got. Usually after a pretty good one there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was looking behind you. It looks like those are some solid bucks behind you on the wall. Are those Michigan deer or are those out of state deer?
Two are Michigan, and then one's Wyoming and one's Missouri.
That's awesome.
Okay.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, my phone's dinging.
Let's get into early season hunting style and what you're doing now to kind of prepare for that early, first 2-3 maybe weeks of the season.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as preparing for early season, like that, that'd be like the only preparing I'd be doing for early season would be for Michigan. And realistically, we usually, we've been going North Dakota the last few years, but that trip is kind of like on the fly. So there's not really a whole lot we can really prepare other than just being ready ourselves. Mm-hmm. But as far as, once we get out there and stuff like that, it's just cover as much ground as we can. Really paying attention to the maps, which is one thing that, we kind of do look at leading up to it, is because in North Dakota, if it's not posted electronically or physically, technically you can go on there and hunt it. So, we try to pick out, we're looking at the maps and trying to pinpoint, some of the better spots that might be a little bit thicker belt, that runs through, that might have a little bit better cover. Just the only downfall is even though you can see electronically if it's posted or not, doesn't mean that it's not posted when you physically get there too. So
Gotcha.
That's probably about really the only preparation we do for North Dakota as far as like, for as far as for early season. But, when you start talking like early season here in Michigan, it's pretty much, just glassing as much as I can from distances.
Yeah, because you guys can't bait, right? Or you can't run even mineral?
Nope, can't run mineral either. So, yeah, they changed that.
Food plots and that's it, huh?
Food plots and that's it.
Yeah, gotcha.
So last year was a little bit. So this year, I'm just doing food plots, like getting all those ready. Trying to get that, those greens in there. Hopefully, with the rotation this year, I can kind of pull them into, because I'm doing some food plots and food plots will be intermixed with the beans that are planted there. So I'm hoping the early season I can kind of get that, a little bit of transition between the beans and the food plot there.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So what is your plan of attack on the food plots? Talk a little bit about that, because that's something that I'm not familiar with. I don't have the luxury to have my own farm, lease, etc. And nor do I even have a knock on door permission spot where a farmer would be okay with me, tilling up a couple acres, or, maybe it's a poor man's plot, even, a couple hundred yard box. Talk about, obviously there's a lot of strategy that goes into that. Talk a little bit about that and what you're thinking and how you set it up and what you like to plant, etc.
So on my farm, there's one specific plot. There's a creek bed that wraps around, and then there's a little finger of woods that come out. So it creates a nice little inside pocket. So that's one of like my first spots right there. It's just because it's kind of an inside pocket where they can come out into that area and still be feel fairly secluded still with, the trees on the creek and that little finger of woods coming out. So that's kind of the placing of one of my plots there. And then another one is kind of a corner. The neighbors to my south, they do like, I don't know if you guys do much of it down there, but they do like corn silage. Yep. So like they do, it's corn every single year in that field. So I can use that kind of as a buffer, as between that and the corner of the woods. So your deer will be coming out of the woods or they'll be coming out of that corn. So I kind of, that inside corner or that corner there, I like to have a food plot there also. And then the other one I'm just tossing out there for basically more food.
Gotcha. What are you planting?
So I do a brassica turnip mix, and it's white gold. They basically it's got brassicas, turnips, rape, and like clover mixed all with it. So pretty much your standard, brassica mix that everyone does.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. I just started to do that this year. I ran some clover, or I got some clover in the ground, and then some turnips and stuff I'm gonna put out. So kind of new for me. Never really done it before, but gonna give it a shot.
I've heard, correct me if I'm wrong, I've heard from people that have ran plots in the past that turnips are like a acquired taste for deer if they're not like used to them, I guess. And I had a buddy plant a large food plot and a lot of turnips. He said they wouldn't even dig them up the first year, but then he said the second year, when they kind of figured out what they were, they tore into them. Do you see the same thing or not?
Yeah, I definitely have seen that like in the years past. And also too, I mean, it really kind of boils down to like a timing of the year too. Like, it seems like when with turnips, it's really kind of like they'll come in there and they'll eat on the green leaves and all that. But it's kind of they come in there and browse on that, but they really don't start hammering it. Seems like until you get a little bit later in the year when you're talking about digging up the bulbs. And a lot of times, like I noticed, is it's when later in the year when you have that cold and the warm up spell. That's kind of when I really see them digging up them bulbs. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you always want those greens for that early part of the season and hope that that's going to be a pull.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier, my memory's shot. I can't remember if it was off air or on air. You mentioned that you don't go into the woods very often from turkey season to deer season. Yeah. So are you strictly relying on those cameras to tell you, when a target buck of yours is moving, or Are you glassing, or like what? I guess what is telling you to go out and hunt?
When I got time. No.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not gonna, I try not to go when they're just if I don't feel like I have an opportunity, but, I really, where my cameras, I try to really, I've been on this farm for, I don't know, 10 or 11 years now. So I
Gotcha.
got pretty good idea on the movement with them. So where I place my cameras, most of the time at some point or another, I'm going to get a picture of them on one camera or another. So yeah, I really pay attention to the cameras a lot during season. I'll kind of feel it out too during the, late earlier part, or during the summertime in September, between cameras and glass, and how visible that deer is. If he's kind of seeming like a homebody, I'll try to jump in right on him right off the rip and try to capitalize on him. But if he's kind of one of the ones where they're hit and miss, I'm not really getting pictures of them. And besides, like, maybe once a week or every other week, then I might kind of hang back a little bit. But thankfully, the last couple of years, I've had those. It seems like those homebody ones where I've just been able to jump right in there and just stick after it until I get him, and then continue on to the next one.
Cool.
So you're allowed 2 buck tags in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you one of those guys that, kind of, I know a lot of guys, I have a lot of friends that hunt in a 2 buck state where the first like decent buck that walks by, they shoot, and then they hold out for like a giant on their second tag. Do you find yourself doing that, or are you only targeting an older age class, or what do you target?
So for me, it's like I'm pretty much in Michigan. I'd say for any guys that are being pretty patient, I'd say across the board, they're waiting for that 3.5 or older. I mean, 3.5 is a pretty solid deer here in Michigan. But I kind of revert back to last year. I had a couple other good ones run around, so it's just kind of whatever. I guess I'll have I'll have my top tier buck pretty much, and then the couple under them, and really it just boils down to whatever one comes in first. I mean, as long as they're on that list,
I like that answer. Yeah.
But like last year, I had one. I killed him October 3rd, and he was probably second on the on the tier, and got lucky and killed him. So then I was kind of battling between 2 other ones, and really, like obviously we film, and I'm not going to be too picky when it comes to, big 8-point or big 10-point, whichever one gives me first opportunity. But it just happened to lay out where I was able to get an arrow in the 10, and the 8 technically ended up getting a free pass at that point. But so it's just kind of, I have my list, and whatever one comes in,
gotcha.
I'm limited on time too, because technically on my farm, I can really, my lease term is only bow hunting only. So I try my absolute best to try to punch them both them tags in bow season. And then I try, travel to other states after that.
Gotcha. I really like that. So what do you think your biggest success was, or your strategy? Because you guys opened October 1st, is that right?
Yeah.
So you killed the 3rd day of season last year.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. Were you primarily hunting over those food plots that you put in, or was there something that he was doing that you noticed and capitalized on, or how did you kill that buck?
So leading up to like the first or the week before season, basically I have a fence row that kind of splits between 2 woodlots, probably about 800 yards between the 2 woodlots. And I got a camera on that fence line, and half of that field was beans and half of it was corn. So before the season, instead of doing food plots last year, I went in the week before and I brush hogged where those food plots would be. So I brush hogged the corn, and cameras just started blowing up with that. And then I was getting pictures of this buck, or absolutely between the 3 of them, I was getting a picture of at least one of the 3 in that food plot, and then transitioning down that tree line. So pretty much for me is kind of like I killed a buck a few years ago, almost the same exact scenario. As the days were coming in and he's daylight, and I'm just like, you're just on a death walk right now, buddy. And just waiting for it to come, waiting for season to roll in.
Yeah.
And then the day before season rolled in, the farmer cut those beans on me. So kind of, I wasn't sure what was going to happen at that point, but I still was getting pictures of them. Pretty much all 3 of those bucks, I was getting pictures of them. They kind of shifted a little bit to at nighttime, but they were like right on the edge. So season rolled around, and I sat over the brush hog corn and pretty much had a pile of deer in there. Just not one of the ones I was afterwards. And sat second night, and pretty much same scenario too. We had a northeast wind, so there's pretty well bulletproof for that spot. So I was like, all right, and the third day, I ended up waking up and I had pictures of all 3 bucks in that spot right before daylight that morning. So I pretty much at that point I knew one of them had to be close at least. So that's when I went in there and actually ended up watching two of them. They popped out at the other woodlot about 800 yards away or so, and they were kind of sparring. I'm like, oh, cool. At least I got to see them, even though they're way over there. And for whatever reason, right before dark, they went out, and made a beeline all the way across that field, and ended up right in front of me.
They smelt that corn that was brush hogged.
Yeah,
they came right to
it. That's our loophole around baiting in Michigan, if you can do it. But it's it was pretty. I mean, after that, how frequent them deer were hitting it, I was like, I figured the second one was going to be coming right afterwards, but. Honestly, it was probably only a little over quarter acre size. And within in 2 weeks of that being cut, they pretty well had everything cleaned up that was knocked down. So
gotcha. So, go ahead.
I was going to say, so if anyone has the opportunity to do that for an early season, I'd highly recommend going in and brush hogging you in a little spot.
Get permission from the farmer first, and I'm sure you're gonna have to buy that little section of corn. But,
oh yeah, you definitely.
Yeah, don't go out there and just start bushing out. So I have one more question on the early season, and maybe Kevin's got a couple other questions, and then I'd like to get into our next topic. But I love talking to people in different areas of the country, and everybody's got a different perspective of early season. So obviously Michigan is an October 1. We already talked about that. But how many days do you feel that you have after that October 1 opener to capitalize on a quote unquote early season buck before some people don't believe in the law, some people believe in the law, but before they really get, out of that, let's call it that early season or that predictable food pattern, how many days do you have until they change their habits?
Honestly, I'd say your best bet was gonna be that first 7 days. It's gonna be it's always weather dependent, obviously too.
Yep.
But as far as being, unless you have that primo weather for that early October, I would say that first 7 days is going to be, that's going to be it. And obviously, if you have the great weather in that 7 days, yeah. But after that, I feel like they kind of, I don't know what it is, but they start to do a little bit of a transition.
Yeah. I believe that the acorns start to drop. I don't know if you have a lot of oaks around you or not.
Yeah.
But I think they just get tired of that. Acorns have probably already dropped, but I think they just get tired of the ag, and then they, and they do tighten up their home range a little bit,
That, and I also feel like maybe the pressure kind of has something to do with that. So
Yeah.
even before season, people are going out. They're either if you can run food bait, they're doing that. They're checking cameras more frequently.
Yeah.
They're just in the woods in that bubble of that deer more often. And I just feel like
they're not dumb.
It takes a little bit of time maybe, but after that they're just like, nope, we're gonna more nocturnal stuff and just not be as predictable maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
And you got to think how many guys are going out that week before season to check their cameras because they got to know if that deer was on there and where to hunt, where I'm going to hunt opening week or something.
Yep. Because most people are, I'm going out opening day no matter what, whether, they might not pay attention to the wind, anything. They're just, I'm going in the deer stand for the selfie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I always get the old selfie. Send it to the old Snapchat group.
But, let's get into your, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I said pics or it didn't happen.
Yeah. Let's get into the hunt from last year of
the North Dakota.
Yeah.
North Dakota. All right. So the year before was my and Tyler's first year going out there. And we were on some decent deer, but the weather was so hot, and we just pretty much got our butts handed to us. I think he had one encounter with the deer. But well, anyways, while we were out there, we were out with one of my buddies. We had a guy that messaged us on the Rise saying like, "Hey, I'm not that, where you guys at? Not that far away." Da, da. He's like, he's like, "Let me buy you guys coffee on your way home or whatever. We're getting ready to drive home." And he's like, "Let me buy you coffee and stuff." And like, all right, whatever, sure,
Yeah.
type thing. And
Yeah.
he ended up didn't meet up with them or nothing. He was working. He just, "Hey, what route you guys calling here?" Called into Starbucks and pre-ordered us coffee. And like, all right, cool. Like,
No joke.
so anyways, we just, kind of kept, in touch with him over the whole season or year. And, basically we came up with with that we're going to go hunt with him the following year just to, get our feet wet, expand a little bit, try different areas. And, so he was running a little bit of intel for us, beforehand out there. He was running some feed and cameras and, just kind of bouncing around, saying like, "Hey, I got this spot for you guys," and just going over the top for us, he had a couple deer picked out on his property that he has permission on that he was going to target. And so anyways, coming into it, we got a few good ones coming, showing up on camera that we were going to try to get on. On the way out, Tyler, we had one big one, and Tyler's like, "Hey, it's like, not to be that guy, but can I go hunt that deer?" And I said, "Go for it, dude. Like, I don't care."
Yeah.
Plus, this deer was showing up like it's the one. Spoiler: it's the one Tyler ended up killing. But that deer showed up a couple times on camera. And, it's just obviously you want to kill that deer, but he was showing up just so randomly and in the middle of the night type thing. So when he said that, I said, "Go for it. You can go kill that nocturnal deer. You go hunt up. I'm gonna go try to find one that's showing up."
Yeah.
So anyways, we get out there. I think we got there like about 3 days before season opened up, 2 or 3 days before season opened up. And once we got out there, we started branching out to some more areas. I call him North Dakota Tyler that lives out there. That's our buddy that was helping us out. And he basically was picked, he drives around, he does crop insurance. So he drives around a lot and stuff. And he's kind of just pointing out pins to us everywhere. So we'd wake up in the morning, go drive around, checking the back roads and go pop into this spot, pop into that spot. And, we were just kind of expanding our range with cameras and feed and just trying to, better our odds and more opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, we ended up having one buck show up, and he was kind of that mid-20s, but mid-20s, full velvet. And Tyler's like, "I'll go kill him." So have at her, bud. So he goes in there the first night that buck comes in, and he puts an arrow in it. And then long story short, just after a tracker dog and everything along those lines, we weren't able to recover it. So he was kind of down a little bit, as anyone would be.
Yeah.
And he was kind of almost just washing up his trip, like, "Hey, I'll come film you or whatever." I had my opportunity, and I kind of kicked him in the butt and told him, "No, get back out there, get in the tree." Like, we come way too far, spend too much money to just throw away your week like that.
Yeah.
So second night he goes out, arrows that giant.
Yeah, dude. That was a sweet deer.
Yeah. That deer actually ended up like he woke up that morning. That deer was pretty much just lived on that camera throughout the entire night, was bedded in front of it. So, we go from like very sporadic to, like once a week or whatever it was in the middle of the night, to all of a sudden there he is living on it. And the only thing that we could really think of is, like you were saying beforehand, is like, I think, opening day happened because we don't believe that he was bedding on that property that Tyler killed, and we believed he was bedding over on the neighbors. And the only thing we can think of is they went out there opening day and probably, screwed something up with them, and that educated them a little bit and pushed them over. So, I mean, worked out for us. We're thankful for that one where, however it ended up happening. But
so rewind. I got a real quick question. Sorry to interrupt,
right.
but it's
good.
It's eating away at me. So so you say that you drive around, you're looking for non-post. So for starters, this ground that you were hunting, is it all private that's not posted? Or you guys hunting?
Yep.
Okay. So then
Yep.
is there, excuse my ignorance, does Onyx have like a way of knowing, or is there like some kind of, something online that tells you what's posted and what's not? Whether, because for me, there might be one or two signs on the property, but if you don't see those signs, like how do you 100% know that you're good to hunt?
So Onyx does have like they have electronic posting on there, which was very beneficial for us last year. I don't believe they had the year before, if I remember correctly. So Onyx has it. North Dakota has an app too where you can electronically post on there.
Okay.
And then when it comes to being posted as far as visually, once you get out there, because it can not be posted electronically, but then posted in person visually. Realistically, you just need to go, because everything's kind of chopped up, and they call them prairie roads that kind of just
like squares, right?
Yeah, and then there's prairie roads that cut through. Like it's kind of weird because you can drive through and you feel like you're just driving down like a farmer's lane through his farm type thing.
But they're actual county roads. You're calling them prairie roads, but they're actual county roads.
It's like a 2-track basically, but
Gotcha.
you can drive down. You can drive down them without like not trespassing and stuff like that.
Okay.
So you pretty much got to try to cover, if you can, do your best to cover all 4 sides. And really, all they have to do is they can put a posted sign on the bucket at the field entrance, and then then that's it. So that's what most of them will all do, is they'll find like where the field entrance would be for the tractors, and that's where they'll have it posted.
Gotcha. So is that like a good rule of thumb where if you find the entrance to the field, and if it's not posted, then you're good to go? Is that like I
would say, that's a good your starting point.
Your best.
Do your best to check all 4 sides of it just to be on the safe. That's what we did, and if we can't check all 4 sides, we just kind of ruled it off pretty much. But
gotcha. It ain't worth getting in trouble over something like that.
Yeah. Last thing I want to do is have some guy screaming at me while I'm trying to hunt, and then be doing the wrong thing. And,
Yeah.
So
I find that so strange because we're from Ohio, you're from Michigan.
Yeah.
Lots of hunting pressure. Like, the fact that you can like drive, I wish that was the case around us. Like the fact that you could just drive and do a circle around the block, and if old boy don't have it posted,
you can go hunt.
Have at it. And it's like, man, as a landowner out there, I know personally, I'd be posting everything that I owned because I don't want I don't want random people on my property. But still, like the fact that there's some farms out there that they just don't care. It's kind of cool.
It's a weird feeling because, like you're saying, you come through and it's like everything's posted that from Michigan, Ohio, and like when you're going on to this farm that is like someone owns it, but you can legally be on it, you still are like looking over your shoulder, like you feel like you're doing something wrong. It's definitely an odd feeling to get used to.
No, I agree. I think that because I'm so anal about getting permission and making sure everything's done by the book that I agree 100% with what you're saying. I would be checking over my shoulder the whole time, like, am I allowed to be here?
It just wouldn't feel right.
No, like, I would love to go talk to the owner, like something like that.
Yeah. That's what, like, to like jump aside a little bit, but like where I ended up killing mine, like we, hunted, we hunted a few days, or like 2 days there. And one of the days me and Tyler got all our stuff for stands on the back, and we're getting ready to walk in, and farmer pulls up to us and just small talk. And he's like, we're like, we're going back here to hunt. He's like, there's been a big wide 10. He's right over there. He's been in the barnyard. He's like, you're more than welcome to go over there and kill him. And like, it's just like,
that's cool.
Even just like that, that little interaction with
the hospitality.
Yeah. And like, it just like, at that point too, you're like, all right, now I know I'm 100% perfectly fine to be out here type of thing. Like we knew we were okay doing like we were 100% legal. But still, just that little conversation with them was just like a sign, like just kind of a weight lifted off in a sense.
So was that?
Just because we're not,
go ahead. Sorry.
You're fine. Go ahead.
So was that like that was not posted ground, and the farmer came up to you and pointed you in the right direction? Basically, is what you're getting at.
Well, we had one spot that we were going to, like, so it's basically he had his farmyard. and then there's some cattle pasture, and then like basically we were on the other side of the cattle pasture, and he's like, I've seen them up there by the barnyard, bought them up with the 4-wheeler and stuff. He's like,
That's
you can go hunt
awesome.
them over there.
That's
So like,
awesome.
yeah,
We-
it's different.
Yeah, we've talked to a couple buddies of ours that have gone and hunted North Dakota, and they just said like the hospitality is just, it's just, half of them. This is what they told us. This was their experience. I mean, it's a giant state, but half of the people that we talked to said that even if it was posted and you could find the farmer or whatever and ask him like, hey, I've been seeing some deer out in your field, do you mind? Most of the time they didn't really care if you asked them.
Yeah.
And I just find that so strange because I'm sure the same thing in Michigan. I mean, I knocked on close to 50 doors last year and got like one maybe, It's like in Ohio, it's like, it's so hard.
Yeah.
But
no, it's definitely different out there. And it's something that, like you were saying though, like, you're like, I've heard that quite a bit too about, people asking the farmer, even though it was posted. And I've heard a lot of the reasons like that, a lot of reasons farmer post them is because waterfowl hunting's huge out there, and they just don't want people going out there in the fields and rutting them up, or just rutting up the fields with their trucks, going out there, set up all the decoys and everything. So that's why what I've heard why a lot of farmers post their stuff. I mean, granted, you get those, all the guys that want deer hunt themselves and everything like that too, but I wouldn't be scared to go knock on a door if you could find where the farmer lives.
Yeah, I know it.
That makes sense with the waterfowl game, though, for sure.
Them darn duck hunters ruining everything for us deer hunters, Kev. Those little quacks.
Yep.
Hey, out there they make us look good because we're not running up their fields.
Yeah,
that's right. But go ahead, Kev.
I was just gonna say, let's get back into the.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good. You're good. So yeah, Tyler kills that giant. And then pretty much after that, he's like, all right, I got a designated camera guy for the rest of the trip. And, we still got I don't know, I think 6 or 7 days of hunting, whatever it ended up being. And so me and him, we were up, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, hitting the road, driving around, going out, checking these spots, running more corn, changing camp spots with cameras, and it was a nonstop grind. And then out there, we'd go hunt the evenings, and it wouldn't get dark until 10:30 at night. So by the time you get back to the house, it's 11:30, 12 o'clock. You get a quick bite to eat, to sleep. You go back up at 4:30. It was a nonstop grind. And I mean, we were on deer. We found one spot towards the latter part of the week, and had a real good 8-point showing up. And we kind of, figured this is probably going to be our best bet at this point, from seeing, what all our other cameras were telling us. And we kind of stuck it out there, I think, for 2 or 3 days. And second to last day, we finally got that little bit colder weather. And right before dark, we had a doe. She kind of ended up busting us, got right underneath us and started blowing a little bit. And then I happened to look over, and all of a sudden I could see him standing 60 yards away, and I'm just like, oh no. So he just kind of stood there for a minute, and ended up working a scrape, actually, just ripped apart a tree and come in with his branches all hanging in his rack. And
that's awesome.
He come in at 30 yards, and it was, like I said, right at that, those last couple of minutes of legal. And I was, struggling to see the pin a little bit, but second to last day, I'm like, we're going home, I had to try it type of thing.
Yeah.
He ended up, hindsight, it's like, he was at the feed and had his head down, and they always, I've heard it time and time again, make sure you aim low when their head's down, because they preload a lot more. And that's what he did, and I sent it right over his back. So pretty much my gut sank after that, and I was like, there's my opportunity for the trip, second to last day. And so we didn't, the last day we didn't even get up in the morning. Basically, just kind of it was a crapshoot. That was pretty much the only buck that we had shown up on camera that I was wanting to go after. And as luck would have it, we woke up that next morning in one of the spots. We called it the water hole, and sure enough, we wake up and there's a real nice 8-point that our buddy Tyler that lives out there got pictures of. It had pictures of earlier on, and then a 10 with a kicker coming off his G2. and they were in there in daylight and that morning. So we're like, all right, they gotta be close to
Yeah.
there. We're
Yeah.
assuming that, early season like that, if you get daylight picture on in the morning, they figure that they gotta be right there close by. So hopes were up a little bit last day, or we're like, all right, we might have opportunity. At least we had a good buck, good buck to go after that showed up on camera. And leading into that hunt, I was just staring at those. We have videos and pictures of them, and I'm just staring at kind of almost in a way like, all right, which buck do I shoot type thing. And I kept going back and forth between the two of them. I'm like, the 8, he's probably pushing 140-inch 8-point, which is dang good deer. And the last day, I'd be more than happy to shoot. And
Absolutely.
and then that 10, I figured he was right around that 140 also, and like, bam, but he's got that cool flyer coming off. I'm like, I kind of like that. And I was looking at the bodies of them. I don't know, and Tyler's like, well, when you get shoot, like I don't know, whatever one comes in first type of thing.
Yeah.
So that afternoon rolls around, and pretty much like as we were going in there, we wanted to get in there early, and there was a cut hayfield, a strip of cut hayfield, and then corn on one side, cattle pasture on the other. And in the middle of the strip of that hayfield, there was like 2 little old cattail ponds, and there was pretty much one big dead cottonwood tree. So that's the tree we were going to. And so as we were going in, I knowing that those deer were close, I wasn't sure if they were going to be like where they were going to be exactly. So we just there was a bunch of round bales in that hayfield, and just kind of went from round bale to round bale, just kind of going, trying to keeping somewhat cover or something to block us, and just kept looking through the glass and making sure that hopefully that I was going in. I'm like, either we're gonna blow them out or we're gonna get in and we might have opportunity. And we made it to the tree, got up in the tree and all set up, and felt pretty good that we didn't bump anything, didn't bump them out or anything like that. So at that point, it was pretty much just the waiting game, and there's one little like pothole of cattails to the north of us, about 100 to 200 yards. And being that we got into the little pothole that we were in, I figured, without bumping any deer out, I figured that they were probably going to be in the other one, or they were going to be in the corn. So we were sitting there, and all of a sudden Tyler grabs me, and it's like an hour before dark or so, and he grabs me. He says, a big buck right there. You're like, giant buck right there. These deer literally stand up. There's both of them bucks, and then they had a smaller 8-point with them, and they both stand up. They were 70 yards away on the other side of this little cattail, a pothole from us. It's like, first thing that's running through our head is like, holy crap, they're right there. And then we're like, how the heck did we get in here and hang a set without bumping these deer type of thing?
Yeah.
And so they milled around, did their thing, and they were eating in the hay, and then they got to drink water. I knew there, it's like, all right, we're already within 100 yards. Like, they got to come in. They were in this feed this morning. They're going to come in. They're going to come here. So it's just pretty much just at that point, kind of like just don't move. Try not to, we're trying to film everything, but try not to move. Because like I said, we're in like this only dead cottonwood tree here. So there's not much for cover. It's just on pins and needles for I'd say, I don't know how long it was exactly, but it felt like, at least a half hour or so. And finally they wrapped around, and the little 8 come through first. And then that 10 with that flyer would come in second. As soon as he was coming through, I just pretty much came to full draw in 20 yards and let her rip. And he tore out of there, and it was like instantly just spraying blood. And I'm like, he's done. He's not gonna make it. Like, he's done.
Yeah.
And so little did I know, like, me and Tyler are pretty much up there like little schoolgirls crying just about, because we just grinded it out for however many days, and the last sit, and also, like, there was a little mound of dirt, and when I last saw him, he like went behind there, and it was a good 10 minutes or so, and I never saw him come out from behind there. So I'm like, he's dead right there.
Yeah.
So we're celebrating and everything like that. And then the next thing like the other bucks are still out there kind of like what happened, or whatever. I happen to look back over there and I see the buck that I shot walking. I'm like, what? I'm like, I counted 3 deer over there. I'm like, what's going on? So I pulled the binos up and we sat there for the rest of the night and just watched him. He would get up and walk about 30 or 40 yards and then bed back down, get up, bed down, and excuse me. They really didn't know what happened with them. He grabbed some.
So just pick up back where you were talking about. He went behind that dirt mound and then just start there, and that's what
you see him out in the field.
Yep.
Yeah. So there was a little dirt mound out there, and he ended up going behind that, and didn't see him for a little while. And obviously, like, it's probably 5-10 minutes went by, and figured like, all right, he's dead right there. So like me and Tyler are celebrating up in the tree, and all of a sudden I look back out there and I see all 3 deer out in the field, and like just in disbelief, like what's going on right now? Like what the heck?
Yeah.
And so we end up watching him until dark, and he would get up, and basically what he did, we watched him 6 times get up. He would get up, walk about 20 yards, bed down. And just wondering, I'm like, how did like what happened, or like how's he alive? He was spraying blood instantly, type of thing. And so we ended up watching the footage back, and somehow I ended up pulling my shot, and I hit him kind of at the at the base, like right in front of the shoulder, pretty much at the base of the neck. So I must have caught like a main artery.
What was your exit like? Because I watched your video, but I don't think unless I missed it, I don't think I saw the exit. Was it the same spot or was it back?
It was pretty much the same spot.
So he was mostly broadside when you shot him?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah, we were trying to figure out, like kind of, because obviously that's not the best shot you want, but I'm pretty sure we got lucky and ended up clipping that artery. But still,
did you get his esophagus by chance? Do you know?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? Okay.
No, because it was above that. It was basically like right in the, if he had his neck sticking out, it was like right in the middle of the neck, pretty much, but just right in front of the shoulder.
Gotcha.
So it was definitely not the shot I wanted, but
hey, you still got him though, right?
Yeah, we knew he was hurt when we watched him, bed down, that much, and we actually went and got a couple drinks. We're like, we'll give him some time, so we'll go get some dinner and get a couple drinks or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we actually ended up running into a landowner at the bar there. He says, he's like, did you end up killing him? We said, yeah, he's dead out in the field right now, hopefully. And,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We went back out, so we gave it a few hours and went back out, and I was just kind of trying to shine the light and like creep up and see if I could see any eyeballs or anything like that. But it was so hard to like pinpoint. I just ended up backing out.
Yeah.
And so pretty much I backed out and waited till the morning.
You're good.
And so the morning rolled around. We were supposed to be heading home, So it's a 15-hour drive, so we were gonna hit the road early. And but instead we're out there trying to find a deer. But it was pretty easy. We rolled up and pretty much walked right to where we last saw him. And we come in from the opposite direction in that morning, and Tyler ended up walking around one of the round bales, and he was laying right there. So
I think that's go ahead.
It was pretty easy find the next morning, and it was just, my biggest worry was too, like coyotes getting to them out there, because they got quite a few of them, and thankfully they didn't get to them at all.
Yeah.
That's a good reason to not leave early on your way home.
Yeah,
tracking a deer. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, that's I watched the video. I watched your hunt and Tyler's hunt, and yeah, definitely, dude. We need to get to North Dakota. I think that'd be so much fun. I just love the fact that like it's, you have those walk-on properties that if it's not posted, have at it, and it's something that I've never hunted before. I'm not familiar with it, and that's something that I would really enjoy. I think just the fact that you could drive around, maybe spot one early season, spot one out in the ag, and hey, if it's not posted, go after it, you
Try
know?
a spot and stalk too.
Yeah. Oh, spot stock would be awesome. Did you guys ever think about doing that, or did you guys have enough timber where you were like, it's not worth it?
No, I mean, it's to be 100% honest with you, like driving around and seeing one, like seeing a mature one, is pretty tough. I mean, those deer, I experienced it the first year and couldn't believe it, but pretty much them deer, if they hear a vehicle or a vehicle stops, they're running.
That makes
Like
sense, though.
I pulled up on one, like I swear it was probably almost like a 3/4 of a mile away, and I stopped, and that sucker was running before I even stopped the truck.
Yeah.
Like, because they don't give out too many rifle tags there, like that. Even the residents got to apply to draw them, but when someone draws a rifle tag, that's how they drive, how they hunt. They pretty much just drive all them like prairie roads and back roads, and all right, he's on posted land. That's that's kind of how they rifle hunt. I mean, granted, there's the guys that actually do it the right way, do it. I won't say the right way, but actually go out and hunt. But that's a big thing for them, is just driving around for the rifle hunters. I have a feeling that's why those deer are so skittish.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But if we could have saw one and had an opportunity to try stalk them, yeah, we would try probably.
That's like a goal or a dream of mine is to spot and stalk a whitetail. Me and Jarrett, who's not on the podcast, we spotted and stalked a Kentucky buck. So it was the last hunt. Now, granted, it wasn't anything like what you killed, but it was the last hunt in Kentucky last year. Jarrett wanted velvet so bad, and there was this little like basket 8-point out there. I mean, he's nothing to write home about, but he was in full velvet. It was the last day, and Jarrett's like, we both looked at each other, and he's like, I'm gonna try. I'm like, let's do it. Yeah. So we're out there crawling through the beans, and it was a godsend. There was where they sprayed, there was a dead row where
like from the
tractor tire. So we got in that dead row, and we could crawl for a long ways, and those beans were waist to chest high. So if you just kind of crunched down, them deer couldn't see you. We got within 44 yards, I think is what he shot him at. 44 yards. Yeah. And Jarrett looks at me and he's like, I'm doing it. So pull up the old camera and we peek out of the beans, and he draws back and just strokes it.
Yeah, it was sweet.
I can't, I don't care how big the deer was. That is a hunt that I'm going to remember for a long time, because it was the last day. We were grinding all week. I killed early, but like there was a couple other guys that had tags, and we were still grinding. And it was just one of them things where it all came together the last night. It was fun. Yeah. It was fun. I understand where you're coming from on the emotions part of the last day, because it's until you've done it, it's very hard to not get emotional on an out-of-state hunt when you are successful, because the amount of work that you put in, you're sleeping like 3 hours a night. You're especially when you film and edit and do all that, you're ready, you're going through all your footage. You're trying to keep up with that, because if you don't keep up with that, you'll get behind, and it's a nightmare. But
I think when we were out there, like we just had terabyte cards for the camera. I think we filled up like 3 terabyte cards.
Oh,
just because we didn't want to do all the transferring and stuff. So we're just like, we're just gonna bring a bunch of cards and just keep swapping those out.
Yeah.
And it was like, by the time we were done with that week, though, I was like, have fun, Tyler.
Yeah. That's tough. That's tough.
So speaking of the filming stuff, are you guys self-taught filming, or did you go to like some kind of a little school, or how were you guys taught for the filming aspect?
So we're all self-taught. Granted, Tyler has like a graphic design background. So he's kind of like that techie guru guy. So he's kind of been able to, help us out quite a bit. But I mean, I started filming about the same time that Tyler did, and just doing it by myself. And at that time, we really didn't hang out or talk or anything like that. So, so it's just kind of been like a progression, throughout it. Obviously, like, I mean, that guy has an eye for like for creativity is what it is, and like he's so good at what he does, and so we, the rest of us just trying to absorb as much as we can from him.
Yeah, as far as like a production aspect of your guys' hunts, like it is is top notch. Like I can appreciate that from talking to somebody that films as well. Like I can appreciate the production side of things that you guys do, and it's very well done.
Very good. Yeah.
Yep.
No, appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all him.
Yeah.
I pretty much I go point the camera and I shoot one. I'm saying, here you go, buddy. Can you please edit?
Yeah.
That's what we do to Matt.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we try to, like, we can all edit, but to a certain point, and like our like vlog videos or whatever, we all we'll do them ourselves and stuff. But like I said, our segment series is kind of our bread and butter, so we want the best guy editing that we can.
Yeah,
yeah,
makes sense.
And it's amazing how much extra effort it takes to set up your camera gear. 2 guys in a dead tree, in your case, in this hunt.
Yeah.
To film a hunt. I mean, a lot of guys don't realize how much effort and extra stuff it goes into making this happen for however length video it is. But man, it's a good video and it's a lot of extra work.
Yeah, and then the other point is I've been filming it kind of just like as a hobby for, I don't know, maybe after high school, and I've been out for, I think this is 10 years now. So like I didn't take it serious until a couple of years ago, but all my buddies are always like, oh, I'd love to film my hunts. Or like, oh, I'd love to do that. Like, what are some advice? What do you want? And like, I always tell them, are you willing to let a deer walk, or are you willing to not kill your target? And if that answer is yes, then go ahead and film. But if that answer is no, be prepared. Like, you pick up a camera, and I'm sure that you experience it as well. If you're self-filming, and if your end goal is to get the kill on camera, good luck. I mean, because there's a lot of deer that are going to get by you just because camera angle, your angle, etc. So it's tough. It's very tough.
Yeah, it is, and there's a couple ways you can look at it. I mean, there's times where filming is honestly taking my mindset off of the deer itself too, because I'm so focused on the filming. So you don't get worked up as much. But then at the end of the day, it still boils down to, you get jacked up no matter what. There's a couple times where scenarios would have played out a lot better if it wasn't for the camera.
Yeah. We've been there.
Yeah. So,
anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
Well, other than just hopefully everyone that listens will make sure to follow us on YouTube and Carbon TV, and that's where we put everything at.
Go ahead and plug yourself. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, so it's the Rise_Hunt, Facebook, Carbon TV, YouTube, Instagram. I believe we had a TikTok at some point, but I don't know if we really do too much on there. But
TikTok doesn't like hunters.
No, we found that out pretty quick. So I think that's why we kind of, in a way, we just kind of washed it because we already had our Instagram account deleted. I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. We had a good following at that point. They just completely deleted us, and we fought it, and nope. So we had to start back over on that.
Wow,
that's terrible.
Yeah, so we try not to push the button, too hard now. But, if TikTok, for example, said if they were taking some stuff down, we're just like, all right,
Yeah.
Well, we try to tread lightly now because we had so much time and effort. Like I said, I think we're at 14,000 followers or something like that before they deleted us, and it's like, man, that sucks. But
that's so hard, man.
Yeah.
I wish
everyone.
Go ahead.
I said everyone's against us, but
I know. I wish there was a platform. I know that there's that Go Hunt or Go Wild or whatever it is, but I wish there was a platform where we could just post our content and not get backlash and not get stuff taken down. And I wish it was more it was popular as well, because you can go to those Go Wild accounts and all them that are trying to do it, but you do all that work and there's nobody on there to see it. You gotta put your content out there where people can see it. And it just sucks that YouTube's the same way. They take down stuff that they don't like either and doesn't meet their algorithm, and it's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah, we've had a couple people flag videos. They're just those antis, and it's we just cringe and bite our nails. In that process, because if it gets taken down, it's like there goes however many years worth of work to try to get followers and everything.
Yep. It's hard. Yep.
So,
Get the last question.
Well, we got one last question for you, then we'll wrap it
all
up.
right.
So the last question is, what have you learned from hunting that you can apply to your everyday life?
You get what you put into it. Pretty much what sums up to. I mean, everyday life is just, you gotta grind it out and put it. If you're gonna sit back and lollygag around, then you're gonna kind of live that mediocre life, I feel like. But if you're out there pushing and driving towards what you want, you're gonna have a better outcome in the end of it.
Oh, I like that one. I like that one. Not a lot of people have said that. Simple, to the point, put in the work, and you might get rewarded for it.
Yeah.
So
better your odds, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, we want to thank you for coming on and joining us this evening on talking about your hunt and your guys' brand. So anybody that's listening to this, head on over to their page, give them a like, a follow, do your thing. And,
check out their content.
Yeah, definitely some very high quality stuff. It's very nice.
What do you, real quick before we get off, where are you guys hunting next year? Or this year, I should say.
Tyler will be North Dakota, Missouri, Michigan, maybe Ohio. I drew a Wyoming tag, so I'm kind of on the fence. I'm gonna buy a North Dakota tag, but I don't know if I'll be there early rut or late season. I'll be out there at some point. Michigan, Ohio. And then Isaiah, he will be Michigan, Ohio, North Dakota, Kansas. And then Mike will probably just be Michigan, maybe a trip to Missouri or Ohio. So we're going to cover some ground.
That's a busy hunting season.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, check them out if you guys like that kind of out of state, camp kind of atmosphere with a very well put together show. Definitely check these guys out.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yep.
Thank you. Alrighty, doesn't matter what you've done in the past, you can always be born again, and born again is out.
Peace.